Alrighty, so we're getting stuck into the Gaios planet profile today. First of all, I'll address the elephant in the room. This is being recorded in my bed because my cat's currently on my desk chair, and I didn't really feel like doing all that or like standing over there. So here we are, but I'm allowed to get away with it, all right, because it's a cat, princess privileges, and also it's Gaios, my favorite planet profile. So like your boy's got to stay comfortable. So yeah, we got an archetype in this one and a couple of support cards where Gaios is at in this format. It's sort of in that like tier two range, maybe tier three, depending on your definitions. It's essentially just the step below the top stuff, but because the top stuff is so good in that set, it's like two steps below, but there's nothing in between, if that makes sense. So you could say if the best stuff is a 10 out of 10, this is like a 7.5 out of 10, right? Where it's above average. But there's still like eights and nines, like hypothetical decks that exist, sort of between them. Like there is a decent jump. So we just got some nice support here. And testing the Thirstbug archetype has been quite a pain, I will admit. Because obviously I don't want to like test the archetypes into the abyss and just play the entire format myself, right? But I have got a couple of games in, and I just like the stats, because the archetype sort of functions in a way where you're not necessarily trading creatures back and forth, and you're kind of like burning points to win in sort of a weird way, but then sometimes you're also losing points and going backwards. It's like kind of a weird type. Um, it's very unique and fun to play, but I just don't know how balanced it is because I've been playing it with Rank, and against some matchups when Rank plus, your 10 power can clear things, the deck feels very, very strong. And then other times it just sucks. So yeah, I don't know. Might get buffed, might get nerfed, but it's probably going to be one that's up to more of a wider range of playtesting. With that being said, we'll start off with Spore Raptor. The artwork is by Washed. It's one of my favorite artworks in the set. Like, dude, a dinosaur with the little mushroom on the head. It looks like Moosh. We all know we love mushrooms in this world. 340 power, 170 health for 6 stars. So obviously your first thought is just like Truant, right? Truant's essentially vanilla. So for the same amount of stars, you're just getting 20 less power, right? So you're hitting for one less point, which is very significant, particularly with temple traps. So then, like temple traps, when you're getting it to survive a killer creature, you're sort of saving losing 2 points there, but the ability's quite good. So once per turn, you may draw one card for every other zoned Gaia's creature that had or has another home planet. Um, so if it had another home planet and got changed to Gaia's, then it would have had one. And if it also currently has two home planets, then it has one. So it's just gonna work with like the top hat cards, Seed Blaster, Spore Gazer. I feel like there was one more changing planet card, that I can't remember. But essentially, you're gonna wanna save this most of the time, um, for when you have one of those cards, and you're gonna cosplay it, and then you're just gonna draw +1, and that's very nice, right? In extreme circumstances, you're gonna be able to draw two in your mind control decks. But if you are playing a strategy, that really leans into the mind control rather than your just typical like four hats, two lighthouse, two flipper. If you are playing more mind control cards, mainly the Seed Blaster, right? If Seed Blaster just dies against a typical, everyday run-of-the-mill two creature board, you just drop this down, boom, +2. So it's a very good card. I'm quite a fan of it, and it's nice competition in Gaia's decks because if you're playing like mid-range, for example, with two flipper, and that's it. Oh, sorry, two Spore Gazer, two flip ups. So your two Spore Gazers, you only one to work with Spore Raptor. And you're not running those top hats, then Spore Raptor becomes an interesting competition card with Truant, right? Because obviously you got 20 less power. But I don't know the odds, but maybe one in every three, maybe one in every 5 games, you're drawing an extra card, right? So it's just weighing up, do you want the more consistent extra power and points, or do you want that upside every 3 to 5 games of drawing an extra card? So yeah, love this card. Next card is Pointy Bug. It's a 5 star. It doesn't look like a 5 star. That's because it was really bugging me out. See what I did there? It was really bugging me out how Glot in the lore is like I swear it's like 3 meters tall or something. I don't know, but it was huge and it looks like a little bug. But it was only valued at 1 star. So this is actually a little bug. This guy's maybe like 10 centimeters long. I drew him so I get to make up all this shit. Um, I don't know if I can swear. I forget if I can swear. I might have to cut that out. Where was that at? Wait, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, he's like 10 centimeters small, but he actually costs a lot of stars and has stats, so that's like the opposite of Gluck. So 150 power, 240 health. It's like 4-star stats. It's not very good. But its ability is pretty cool, and you can definitely build a deck around this as like a win condition. So each time you play a creature with a different name than creatures played this turn, or use another Gaia's creature's ability, except the ability of Spine Spitter, gain a point. So there's a deck in Hearthstone called like Miracle Rogue, where you sort of just like it's called a miracle because you go from zero to hero. In like a turn and you just play a bunch of cards. Guys can totally do this with like the search. Like you could go Gla Tree, like play this first, and then go Gla Tree, use Gla, go into like Thunderbolt, play Thunderbolt, and get what, like 3 points. You can place a ball gazer before you do that, attach it to a guy, um, get another point. You can play a super flipper if you have the zone, get another point. Like there's a bunch of stuff you can do. And just randomly get like 3 to 5 points in a turn. Um, I I don't think he's too great just playing him. It's like, oh, it's weird. When I played him just in mid range, like he felt kind of redundant, but because you can dumb your hand easily, um, in Gaios, you can sort of just use him to close out games from like a, 13-point spot, gain 3 points, swing for four or something, right? And that is quite easy to do with bringing back a north and this clear a board, gain 3 points, swing four from seven, and you can just snipe people from weird spots. But 5 stars cosplay is a lot. It is on the weaker side of cards for sure, but you can definitely build a fun um, little strategy around it, which I think is cool. And I don't think there's any like infinite loop combos where you can gain 20 points in one turn, so I didn't put a point cap on this. If you find one, that's pretty cool, I suppose. But yeah, it's a fun little card, I think. Yeah, this is the archetype. So essentially, they're all of 10 power. Um, and the two smaller ones, oh, sorry, I will preface this. There are more cards to the archetype that Knesso designed. I couldn't fit them into the set, and I think the archetype still does fine without them. But there are some cards that didn't make this fan set, so definitely, and like people are gonna ask why didn't this make the set bigger? Like testing is really, really hard. Unless I just like play the entire format out myself and like solve it before releasing, which I'm not gonna do. So I think it's just best we do like a second set in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, however many months, depends how many cards people want in the set. And like we really could just release an extra 5, 10 cards a month after the set drops. And yeah, there are two extra cards in this archetype that Kinezo designed that are cool cards as well. So yeah, 10 power, 3 stars, 10 health, can't really kill much. Can't be killed by battle during your turn, so you can just crash it and do nothing. And then after this card attacks, gain 1 point and your opponent loses a point. So you're not going to be gaining any card advantage with this. You can just like stab and think of it as a once per turn effect, but then it can't attack to gain a point and the opponent loses one. And then when this card is killed, you pay 1 point to add one different killed first spell card to your hand. So you pay a point, go +1. This card's the same, but it's Galaxied. So these are your two little, I suppose, thirst bug guys that get a little bit of point control here. Um, I don't think we've had a card in the game where one player gains and one loses, so I think this is a first, which is a cool, like, unique aspect to the archetype. And then this is the permanent resource. So once per turn, when one of your Gaia's creatures is killed by an ability, right? So the Gaia's planet effect is the main one that pops to mind. You gain a point, and then you get, sorry, you can also gain that creature's stars. I feel like I worded that in a way, as in you can do both, but you either gain one, right? You gain a point, or you gain the creature's stars. So this is actually just a nice generic support as well. It's not restricted to thirst bugs because when you're doing things like searching and cycling through 6 stars, you don't really want to do that because you're losing 6 stars to search. So now you could play like Viridius to search a super flipper, and you don't actually lose any stars. You just lose like one card advantage from um pardon me, from having to play this permanent resource, right? But then you're hopefully gaining like that card advantage, not directly, but with things like points, and getting your stars back to get more searches out, and you indirectly gain that back. So it's a nice little support card for guys in general, and it does work nicely with the archetype as you can cycle through your 3 stars nicely. Next I don't think is the boss, so I don't need to hype it up. Awesome. First book Drainage. Again, all the cards drawn by Kinezo, love his art style. When a card, this one's also generic, like the permanent resource, not restricted to the archetype, but works well with it. Um, could very well see this in like control decks, which I love. So when a card or ability is played or used, right? So if you play a card or use an ability, you can pay 4 points to cancel one's own card's ability until that this turn. So if it's like a single use, it's essentially kill that card. If it's an activator, it's essentially kill that card. If it's attachments, it's not to kill that card because it gets the ability back at the end of the turn. Same with creatures, which I think is a nice balance, but it's a very good control card, right? So gadgets might play this instead of Damocloid because they honestly would rather pay points than stars. I think like a Pelisium control deck where you're just playing um like big creatures and your win condition is like haha, I have more stats than you. Can play this. Haven't tested that, no idea if that's gonna work. Because Pelisium likes playing Burning Damocles sometimes anyways. They can definitely play Thirstbug Drainage. And then yeah, in this archetype, since you'll have points on hand, but you're not essentially rushing to get 20 as much, you'll totally have leftover points that you can afford to control the game with. Um, it is a weird one where 4 points feels like a lot sometimes to pay, where I think the card might just be terrible, but then 3 points sometimes feels like nothing to pay, and you're just getting like this nuts broken card for free. So it could be one that has to get nerfs, changes, erratas, depending on its playtesting impact once it's released. It's kind of hard to tell until then because it's more situational. There's some spots in the game where 3 points is a lot. There's some points where it's not. The same with 4 points, right? But now for the boss, and this is where things really ramp up because right now you're probably thinking maybe the archetype's a bit underwhelming. Again, it's sort of weird in playtesting. Sometimes the deck feels nuts because Scarlet Rain, remember that card is quite good in this archetype, or at least I've found it to be quite good. Because you do have like stars on hand and whatnot. But yeah, the boss is quite good. First bug Sovereign again, 10 power, 10 health. 5 stars. It was originally 6, which helped sort of with the like Spore Raptor draw in. Also, I know Gargantros has been played, so I suppose you have a 6-star engine. I did flip it to 5 just to make it a bit cheaper. It can also be searched with Farcadoris if that card sometimes gets bounced to your hand or stolen. You just want to search it off since it's kind of redundant at that point. Um, and it's also just cheaper in general, which is nice. Works with Warpole territory if you want to go into uh, like a little control strategy. But this card isn't particularly like important for its attacking anyways. So it can't be attacked whilst you have another zoned different Gaios creature. So that's just you can't get 2 Thirstbug Sovereigns up and then just they can't be attacked. Although I don't think that would be broken anyways, it just saves headaches because Thirstbug Drainage is quite good at stopping things that would break those boards, right? So maybe if the archetype is super weak, maybe I just change errata that and then the archetype plays towards getting like 2 of these up and causing crazy mayhem and then bringing them back as well. There is a recursion card that I didn't release. Maybe I can bring that into play as well if the archetype needs a buff. And then up to twice per turn after a player or players, right? If they both do the thing at the same time, loses a point or points. You can either gain 3 points or kill one sand card. So up to twice per turn. Again, there's just spots where you can snipe from like 17 with this archetype, not 17, from like 7 out with this archetype because you just gain 6 points with this, right? The 3 twice in one turn, and then 1 with another. Or I suppose 8 points. If you gain 1 with one of the cards, with another, gain 6 points with this guy. Boom, 8, crazy snipe. It does cost a lot of stars because all these cards are cosplays. Um, but the threes are somewhat cheap. And with like the support you play like Glot, Thunderbolk, and then Super Flooper, which is essentially free. You do have like Anzandri as well. You do have good star economy in the deck. Like it's reasonable to get these crazy snipes. Or you just kill one zone card instead of the 3 points. Honestly, killing the one zone card isn't too great just because you rarely have threats up. But it's nice removal, right, for things if we run into Scardians, maybe not early Scardians, but middle late game Scardians, we can clear them. And it's just nice to get removal, I suppose, for different types of snipes for lethal as well. If we're looking to hit with something like Super Flooper, but again, Gaios doesn't have too many big hitters. So you're just more using it to clear strong creatures rather than for points. Um, so yeah, that's the Gaia's planet profile. I'm very happy with where Gaia's is at heading into this set. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it push it as like a big broken strategy, right? I don't think it'll be a top three planet this set, which gives me some bit of a safety net to prevent accusations of me being biased. But Gaius is always going to be solid as long as it has like super flipper and glove, particularly in game one as well. And I think you have like so many ways to build the deck. You can build thirst bugs, mid range, mind control. You can build this like pointy bug deck now as well. And yeah, I think it's going to be quite fun to play all of this. And I love the way the thirst bugs play. They're probably the most unique archetype the game's seen. And they do have more potential support that we can see. And potentially they can be changed to build into a different play style slightly with that thirst bug sovereign errata I was talking about to get rid of the word different. But yeah, they're very fun to play and will need a bit of testing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to them.